On the night of February 8, 1995, a helicopter flew low over the illuminated New York City skyline. Inside was a newly captured fugitive being transported to a federal holding facility under heavy guard. As the chopper banked over Lower Manhattan, an FBI agent pulled the blindfold off the prisoner. The agent pointed out the window, noting that despite the captive's best efforts 2 years prior, the World Trade Center's Twin Towers were still standing. The prisoner simply looked out the window and smiled. He told the agent that the towers wouldn't be standing if he had been properly funded. The man in the handcuffs operated under dozens of aliases, but the world would come to know him as Ramzi Yousef. Unlike the crude bomb makers of previous decades, Yousef held a formal degree in computer-aided electronic engineering from a university in the UK. He merged Western technical education with ideological extremism, creating a highly capable adversary. Yousef applied his training to the cold logistics of murder, treating a mass casualty event like a complex industrial project to be prototyped and scaled. Yousef arrived in New York in late 1992, requesting political asylum to bypass immigration detention. Within months, he had packed a rented Ryder box truck with 1,200 pounds of urea nitrate. On February 26, 1993, he parked the truck in the B2 subterranean garage of the World Trade Center and lit the fuse. His explicit structural objective was to blow out the foundation of the North Tower, forcing it to topple sideways into the South Tower. The explosion killed 6 people and injured over 1,000, but the concrete bracing held. As emergency crews rushed into the smoke, Yousef quietly used a Pakistani passport to board a flight out of the country that very same night. The attack failed to bring down the buildings, but it successfully exposed the vulnerability of massive American targets. It proved that a small, technically proficient cell could execute a devastating strike on U.S. soil and evade immediate capture. By 1994, Yousef had relocated to Manila in the Philippines. There, he partnered with his uncle, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, to scale up their destructive capabilities. This map illustrates the massive scale of their new master plan, Operation Bojinka. The plot consisted of 3 distinct objectives: assassinate Pope John Paul II, crash a small plane into the CIA headquarters, and simultaneously detonate bombs on 11 commercial airliners over the Pacific Ocean. To pull off the airline bombings, Yousef had to bypass standard 1990s airport security, which relied almost entirely on metal detectors. He needed a highly lethal explosive device that contained virtually zero metal. He engineered a microbomb using liquid nitroglycerin, disguising the chemical as ordinary contact lens fluid. He hid the necessary batteries and thin wiring inside the hollowed-out heels of his shoes and modified a standard Casio digital watch to serve as the timer. On December 11, 1994, Yousef boarded Philippine Airlines Flight 434 for a live test run. He assembled the device in the lavatory, planted it under seat 26K, and disembarked during a scheduled layover. 4 hours later, the bomb detonated en route to Tokyo, killing a Japanese passenger and severing vital control cables. The pilot managed a miraculous emergency landing, but Yousef had the data he needed. The success of the Flight 434 test proved the Bojinka blueprint was viable, shifting the focus of terrorism from crude truck bombs to stealth, synchronized aviation attacks. Less than a month later, the entire operation unraveled over a trivial mistake. While mixing volatile compounds in the kitchen sink of his Manila apartment, Yousef accidentally started a chemical fire. Panicking, he fled the apartment into the night. In his rush to escape the arriving police, he left behind an off-white Toshiba laptop sitting in the open. An informant's tip eventually led American and Pakistani authorities to an Islamabad guest house, where Yousef was captured following a 23-day global manhunt. The files recovered from that abandoned laptop provided a detailed inventory of the network's reach. Inside were flight schedules, precise detonation calculations, and global contact lists, the first concrete proof of a coordinated global movement with the technical capacity to strike multiple continents at once. Standing in a U.S. federal courtroom, Yousef arrogantly declared that he was proud to be a terrorist. The judge sentenced him to 2 life terms plus 240 years. He was sent to the ADX Florence Supermax prison in Colorado, locked in a solitary confinement block known as Bomber's Row, to ensure his engineering skills could never be used again. However, the physical disruption of Bojinka did not destroy the idea. Yousef's uncle, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, evaded the Manila police and kept the intellectual framework of the plot alive. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed realized that trying to smuggle liquid explosives past tightening airport security was becoming an unacceptable risk. Instead of putting bombs on planes, he decided to hijack the commercial airliners themselves and use them as guided missiles. Ramzi Yousef was permanently removed from the battlefield in 1995, but the engineering logic and strategic blueprint he designed in the Pacific laid the direct operational foundation for the September 11th attacks.